What's up gamers, Dreamcastguy here, and as you can see, the next generation of gaming has finally begun with the release of the Xbox Series X, and I have been playing a bunch of this thing today. As you can see, I even have it hooked up here in the background here. It is a very, very impressive piece of tech, but let's just address this. A lot of people like to claim that I'm an Xbox hater, or that I despise Microsoft, mostly because I was never really that big of a fan of the Xbox One. This thing is decent, it's definitely not like a bad piece of hardware, but I've been more of a Sony person over the course of the last couple of years. So today, I just want to try and answer the question of, was I wrong about the Xbox Series X? Maybe I should have been more excited for it. Well, after having sat down with this thing, it's definitely a very, very impressive piece of tech. I think that as a console, the Series X is extremely powerful. It's already displaying what it can do with the solid-state drive, and the upgrades it can do with old-school stuff, it is unmatched. So let's talk about this. I do want to begin this with a giant warning, which is that if you're deciding to try and rush out and purchase an Xbox Series X right away, there has been a little bit of problems on launch. The biggest thing being that if you try and hook this thing up right away, the Xbox Live servers have currently been crashing, and it does require an internet connection the first time you ever turn it on. It has to talk to HQ or else it won't actually boot up. So for the first hour I had the system, it was a brick. It would not even actually turn on or let me put in my name or do anything other than sync a controller. But once I got this thing to work, once the servers came back up and my $500 console actually started to operate, then I could sit down and start playing some games. Now, the system itself, the biggest thing I think makes the Xbox Series X impressive is the backwards compatibility. There isn't a bunch of new stuff on the horizon. It's going to be a while before we have a bunch of Xbox Series X games that are fully using the power of, Microsoft programming, but right now, something that Xbox can do that the PlayStation 5 will never be able to do is the fact that there is 4 generations of gaming all in one place. It is completely possible to put in an original Xbox game, an Xbox 360 game, an Xbox One game, or something that's for the Xbox Series X, and everything will work. But more than just working, they get some pretty substantial upgrades. Like, one of my favorite games of all time is Alan Wake, so of course, the first thing I had to do was boot that up and start playing it again, and it is visually stunning. Like, the fact that it's possible to take some of these games off my wall here and just plug them directly into my console, even if they're from a decade ago and they still work perfect, is a pretty impressive feature. But what about what makes this new? What makes this actually feel great and feel truly next gen? Well, for that, let's take a look at Watch Dogs Legion. So this is one of the few games I have that is actually being built and designed and completely aimed at next gen tech. Now, initially when I played this on the Xbox One, it didn't look super spectacular. Like, the graphics were okay, it definitely wasn't like, a bad looking old school tech thing, but watching the visuals and seeing the ray tracing and stuff on the Xbox Series X, this is a crazy jump in visuals. Just seeing the reflection effects, getting a chance to fast travel and instantly teleport all around the city with no load times. This is what I think next gen is going to be about. It's about the seamless transition of game and gaming, just instantly being in the experience. And I do think that's part of what makes this extra cool, in my opinion, is the quick resume feature. I love this. Essentially, the way this works is while playing your Xbox, you can just press the center button, it'll bring up a little menu, and you can just directly hop from one game to another, just shifting back and forth, and it takes literally seconds. I can go from in the middle of a boss fight of Dark Souls, if for some reason I got frustrated, I could just instantly hop over to Resident Evil in literally seconds. I cannot just emphasize enough how cool of a revolutionary feature this is. You may not think that you would switch games that much, but instantaneously, especially if stuff is already installed on your hard drive, it is a really cool feature to just go from game to game, world to world, experience to experience, especially because the biggest reason I think people are going to be buying the Xbox Series X is Games Pass. If you've never actually tried Games Pass for yourself or just read about it, I just gotta say that it is definitely one of the best deals in gaming, because by just paying a couple dollars a month, you have access to literally hundreds of games directly from Microsoft. You just install them and they fully download, they fully work, and this isn't just Microsoft stuff. Sometimes they put stuff on there like Doom Eternal's on there, which I guess now technically is a Microsoft game. Final Fantasy 15 is on there, and And things like this, Final Fantasy 15 with all of the graphical upgrades, all the freaking performance boosts, suddenly seeing a lot of these games at 60 frames a second is really, really gorgeous. But what's perhaps the most mind-blowing to me is seeing the games that are already trying to do very, very dramatic visual boosts. Like Ori and the Will of the Wisps, this just came out a couple months ago. When you play this on an Xbox Series X, it can run at 6K or 120 frames a second. Now, I've been a predominantly console gamer for most of my life. Like, recently I've just started doing a little bit of PC gaming. Of course, I play like MMORPGs and stuff on my PC, but actually seeing over 100 frames a second, I feel like a lot of console gamers can't even imagine just how liquidy smooth that experience is. A phrase that's definitely kicked around a lot in gaming spaces, or like talking about gaming as an art form, is the immersion aspect. How much you can really kind of meld your mind and your imagination into the gaming experience. And let me tell you that higher frame rates definitely matters, especially stuff like first-person shooters and stuff. Already, I think the Xbox Series X is interesting, and what I think works the most in Microsoft's favor is that I do feel like this is the one that's the most consumer-friendly. I'm still super excited for the PlayStation 5 because of the exclusives. Miles Morales, Demon's Souls, like the things that are coming to PlayStation 5 look really, really fun, but I will definitely admit that the Xbox Series X is more consumer-friendly because of Games Pass and just tinier details. Like, here is something that's definitely crazy. This is the Xbox Series S controller. It feels exceptionally good, but if for some reason I wanted to try and play through Battletoads again, which I wouldn't because I hate that game, but if for some reason I wanted to try and play something co-op, I can actually grab, as I smash my knee in the desk, I can just grab my original Xbox One controller. This'll work. Anything works. And I think it's pretty cool that it shows that Microsoft, more than anything, they just want you to play. But now let's talk about the giant drawback. The biggest thing that I think definitely hurts the Xbox Series X. The upgrades are nice. It is cool that this is able to play like Xbox 360 stuff and it looks just so picture perfect. But let's face facts, there are no exclusives coming anytime soon. Halo Infinite does not have any sort of release date, and it's funny to me that they even decided to put like Master Chief on the box when this guy ain't showing up for maybe another year. The fact that there is not a giant exclusive game to try and get you into it, I do think that kind of hurts it. At this point, I'll be honest, just being completely brutal here, the only reason I own an Xbox Series X is because I want it to be my third-party machine. When I'm playing games that are cross-platform, things that are going to be on the PlayStation 5 and on the Xbox Series X, I'm probably going to play it on the Xbox Series X because it does seem like the load times are going to be a little bit shorter, and honestly, it is just a super easy-to-use ecosystem. Also, I do think that the controllers are still just super, super good. Am I more excited for the PlayStation 5? Yes, a little bit, but now just because of the games. The biggest drawback to Microsoft is just the fact that Games Pass, while being such an amazing deal, is still just something to try and get you into the games you may have missed. What's coming next? That is currently a giant question mark. To really try and sum up my thoughts here at the end, perhaps people are asking the question of, okay, Dreamcastguy, you seem to enjoy it, but do you regret spending $500 on a system that currently doesn't really have any games? It doesn't have anything bright and flashy and new that you can only play on the Xbox. I mean, no, I think that this is an interesting machine. I'm glad I own it. Am I going to be playing it that much? Yes, I mean, going into this, there is a bunch of big open world experiences like Assassin's Creed Valhalla that I'll probably play only on this machine. But I guess we're going to see more as the system goes on. A lot of times consoles like this, it takes a couple months for them to build up speed, to build up a library, to build up momentum, and to finally get the developers on board. So I guess we're going to see what's really going on with this system very, very soon. But what do you think? Have you had a chance to see an Xbox Series X for yourself? Do you enjoy it? Or did you enjoy my video? Please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. I guess I need to try and upgrade my computer more now that I think about it, because this is going to be doing a bunch of games in 4K and stuff, I believe. And currently, I can only render videos at 1080p. If I press 4K, it flat out doesn't work. But, you know, I guess that's the next bridge I need to cross. Thanks, everybody, for all the subscribes. Thanks for all the views. Obviously, that's how I'm going to upgrade my system. You guys rock, and keep dreaming. thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.